Assalamu alaikum. I wanted to record a solution for Lab 14, which is a simple CRUD system with an in-memory database on H2. Okay, so we are implementing this using Spring Boot. So the first step is to download a starting project or starting code. So you have the instructions here. Okay, we will choose Maven for the package manager, Java for the language. Okay, the latest version currently of Spring Boot is the latest stable version is 4.0.5. So Maven, Java. Then let's call it here edu.psu. Okay, and here I'll call it lab 14 for the artifact. So this would be the project name. I want to create a jar, not a war. Okay, so when you create a jar, you will have the web server embedded into the jar. You don't need to install your web application into any web server. Okay, so you just copy the jar into your Linux server and you run it. Okay, so we'll use here properties, then 17 for the Java GRE, the GRE. Then for dependencies, we need to add web, Spring Web only. Web. That's it. Now I can generate the project. Okay, so I will prepare an empty folder that I will call workspace. I have a second one, but I will call it workspace 2. Then I will bring my downloaded lab 14 from my downloads folder. Okay, so I copied it here. Then here you have to pay attention on how you extract the folder or the file. If you double click on it, you will see that here you have so it's a zip file, and inside the zip file you have a folder. Okay, so if you do extract to lab 14, you will get a folder, and inside the folder you get another folder. So you should do the following: extract here, so that it doesn't create a folder inside the folder, but you will have directly your root, the root of your project here. So now I will instruct Eclipse. I will open Eclipse and I will ask Eclipse to switch to that new workspace. So I can browse it here. So it's desktop workspace 2. Then it will restart. Now automatically Maven will create my hierarchy of files here. You can see normally here, you will see that you can see that Eclipse is doing some operations. So oh no, I have to import it first. So that was not what I was expecting. So import existing Maven projects. It's this one. Okay. Okay, you can see that it's importing Maven project building. Okay, it has built all these folders here. So now to prepare my my workbench, my work environment, I will create a run configuration. and I will specify the goal here. So the goal would be clean, and then Spring Boot run. Normally that's the one. I can verify here. Spring Boot run, that's the one. Okay. Okay, once we have that, now we can start creating our model. Okay, I will close this. Now I can apply and run. Okay, now you can see that my server is started on port 8080. Okay, so if it doesn't work with you, it means that your port 8080 is already taken by some other application. So you have to you can ask AI. You open any AI tool, you ask it how can I shut down the or find out which application is turning or is running on my port 8080, and then you can shut it down, or you can change the port that you are using, that your application is using. You can also search for how to change it. Normally it's in this file that you have to specify a different port. Okay, so now let me go back to the what is required. Okay, so now we need to create a package for the model classes. Okay, and then the package will be created under this folder. Then we need to add two dependencies in the POM. The first is a dependency to import Spring Boot starter data JDBC, this one. And the second one is to import H2. Okay, so the H2 in-memory database library. Okay, so I can do that here. So these are two dependencies. You need to add the dependencies in the dependencies block here. Okay, so you have to add it here. So now we have 4 dependencies. Okay, so I will save. Then I will start creating my my system, my classes. Okay, so I will right click on this package and I will create a new class. Actually, I will not create a class but a record, but that's okay. I can change the name later. I mean the type of the class later. So here we'll create a model. Then this is our model. Okay, so it will be a record and the name is course. This is our model. Then it has an ID that is a long string code, name, description, and credits. Okay, so here I will call this course, but instead of a class, I will make it a record. When you change it to record, you have to pass here what are the fields of the record. So the record allows you to create a class much more easier than if you create a class. Automatically it will create the getters and the constructor. So ID, then we have string code, string name, string description, and then double for it's not a double, I think it's credits, so it's an integer. Okay, so this is it. Now you have to import this annotation. This is a Spring annotation. Okay, as you can see here, I can import it right away, but if it doesn't work for you, if you don't see it, if you don't see this quick fix, okay, here, you have to right click on pom.xml, then go to run as, and then no, sorry, you have to go to Maven and then update project. Okay, once you update the project, if the dependencies are not correctly um, loaded, let's say, they will be now correctly loaded. Okay, so usually that's the fix. Now it should fix this if you don't see it. So now we can see it, and I can import it. So that's all we need to do with the model. Okay, that's it. Now I'll go back to my document here. So in the folder is to create a schema.xml file with the necessary SQL statement to allow Spring Data to create a database table for courses. Okay, so because we have an in-memory database, I will create a script. So Spring will search for the script here. Okay, and the script has to be called schema.sql. Okay, so here I'll create a script, create table. I need to check for the syntax. I will just open the slides. I have slides for the course, so I'll just open the slides on chapter 6, and I will search for the syntax of create table with H2. So it depends. If you have H2, if you are using H2, you will have a syntax. If you have another, find by ID. If you have another database server, it would be different. So this is it, create table product, and then ID generated by default as, okay. So create table course, it should be single, okay. So ID long. In this example, it's int. Okay, so I need to check in H2. So H2 database documentation, just to check what kind of data types we have. Data types, big int. Okay, so it is mapped to Java long. Huh? Okay, so it's big int. Okay, so ID big int, and then that's the data type. Then generated. So by default or as always, as always. I need to check the real syntax. I think it's as always. If you want it always to be generated, but I found out that even if it's generated by default, Spring will always allow you to add the ID. Okay, so we'll see that later. Generated columns. Okay, so generated always. Generated always. Okay. Okay, generated always as, and then identity primary key as identity primary key. Okay, then. Okay, so then we have, what is the record? String code name and description. Okay, so name varchar, let's say 100, not null. So this is the code first. Let's say the code cannot be more than 100, then name, maybe, let's say 256, also not null. Then description. I think description should be different data type, should be longer. Date. So we can use varchar. So here we have to choose this maximum description varchar. Let's say description can be 1023, and then finally we have integer int credits int, not null. Okay, this should work. So we have int should work also. Okay, now we can start the server to check if this does not cause any error. If it causes any error, it means that there is some syntax problem. If the server starts, normally we should be okay. Okay, we have a problem. Okay, it tells me that web server failed to start. Port 8080 is already in use. Okay, so I will ask Copilot how to find the process using port 8080 on my Windows machine. Okay, so the fastest way to identify what's using port 8080 is to combine netstat. Okay, so I will copy this and then I will run it okay, as administrator. Okay, I need to open it as administrator. Command prompt, run as administrator. Okay. Okay, so this is the IG of the process. Okay, we need to find that process and kill it. So normally it should give me identify the process name from the PID. Okay. Sorry. Okay, so here I have to write 28704. So it's Java. So how to kill it? If you prefer PowerShell. Okay, let me try to find it in Task Manager. It was there. Okay. These are abnormal. I don't know what are these. Okay, where is it? OpenJDK. I've seen OpenJDK. Okay, I will go back to my. I'm just asking for the command. So what is the command? To kill process 28704. Okay, I copy this. Success. That's it. Normally, it should work now. At least we should not have the same error. Okay, now you can see that the server started, which means that normally we don't have any problem. It means that the table was created, but we still do not, we are not sure about that. So that's why we'll add some data. Okay, so we create data.sql. Same thing here. Spring is expecting to find a file named data.sql, insert into course values. I think that's the syntax. I will just verify. Insert into. Okay, I need to add the columns and then values and then default for the ID. Okay, so here default and then a code method, for example, SE201, then a name, introduction to software engineering, description, an introductory course, and so on, and then credits 3. I have to add here into course, I think it's here, ID, code, name, description, credits. Okay, normally this should work. Let's start again. Restart the server. I have to stop it here, restart it. Okay, we don't have any error, which means that probably this is working, but I will only be sure when I add, when I send the request and get the data SE. So this course would be software construction. A course on and so on. Okay, that's enough. Now Now we are done with our model, with our data and database. Okay, now we'll create the repository class or object. Okay, so actually it's an interface. So repository or course repository, courses repository or course repository. Okay, that's it. It's an interface that has to extend the CRUD repository, CRUD repository interface, and here you have to specify the class, the model, which is course, and then the type of the ID. We need to import everything, CRUD repository, course, and here we have to add repository annotation, and we have to import it from Spring. Okay, now we are ready to start creating the controller. So I'll create a class, and here I will add a new package, controllers. So I will call it course controller. I forgot to add the repository into a separate, what is it? I want to create a different package. I didn't want to create the repository there. Repositories, and I will move the repository there. Okay, now we have the repository here. Okay, now we have the controller. First of all, we have to say that this is the REST this is a, I forgot the name of the mapping, so we have REST mapping and then REST controller. Okay, REST controller. Okay, so REST controller, and then we have the mapping. I forgot the name of the mapping here. I'm not using it in this example. Okay, I will check for it later. Now I need to add a reference to the repository. So private course repository. Let me call it course repository. Okay, and then I'll create a constructor so that this this object is instantiated by Spring and passed here so that it is stored in this reference. I explain a little bit more about it later, inshallah. So course controller, here we are expecting course repository, course repository. I'm adding p to differentiate between the local variable or the data member and the argument of the constructor. I need to import course repository. Okay, so when you add this argument here in the constructor, automatically when Spring will create this controller. Why? Because it has this annotation. Okay, so Spring will create the controller and then it will call the constructor, and because we have this here, before calling the constructor, before constructing a controller, it will first construct a repository and then it will give us a reference to it here. Okay, then we have here, we can start creating our first mapping, our first API handler. So public response. So we'll create the simplest endpoint that allows to get all courses. So response entity iterable on course. Okay, so iterable on course is the type here. You have to choose the type depending on what you want to return in the body of the response. If you want to return a list of courses, you can use list or iterable. Iterable is more abstract, so it works. Okay, so get all courses. Okay, and then we need to import these first. Then the first thing to do is a try catch. Okay, why? Because we are using the repository, we are communicating and connecting to a database, so problems can always happen. Okay, so if any problem happens, we return what? A response entity dot. So this is the data type, and here this is the same thing, data type, but it's a class actually. And here it has some static methods. Okay, and the static method allows you to create a response. So here the response that you want to send is internal server error, and you have to call .build to build a response entity object that you will return here. Okay, here what we are doing is here we have to use the course repository dot find all. Okay, so find all returns what? Here returns an iterable. Okay, so return response entity dot okay of this. Okay, it will create a response entity, and here with dot okay you don't have to call dot build. Okay, so now we can test all of this, but first of all we have to we forgot to map. Here now we have to say that this is a get mapping. Get mapping to what? To slash. But here there is, it's not rest mapping, I forgot the name, it's I will search for it. So Spring mapping controller annotation request mapping. Okay, so here it's a request mapping. Okay, and here we have to specify the why it's not allowing me to import. I will start by importing this. I have a problem with with Eclipse. Okay, whenever I have a problem with Eclipse, I go to Maven, update project, or project clean also. Why it's not working? Okay, I had to close the file and reopen it. Small bugs in Eclipse happen. So that's the request mapping. Now I will put back the get mapping. Um, in the response mapping, in the request mapping, we have to specify the common first part of the routes, which here would be /v1/courses. Okay, and then if we don't have anything else, actually we don't need to put this at all. We just need to say that it's a get mapping. Okay, now let's test this. Okay, now it's working. I mean, it's starting at least. Now we need to use some HTTP client. I'm using Postman here in VS Code, and here you can send the HTTP request, localhost 8080/v1/courses. I send the request and I got my two courses, which means that everything is working correctly. Okay, so that's the first, the easy one, get all courses. Now let me go back to the document. I don't need this anymore. So here it tells me the document is asking me to create an API with all these endpoints. Create a course. What is the route? So let's fill in this document. Let me download it. So that you can edit it. Okay. So create a course /v1/courses plus an object in the body. Okay, HTTP method create its post. Let's do these quickly. So for retrieve all courses, it's a get request. Retrieve a course by ID, also it's a get request. For the update, it's put or patch, but put is better. For delete, it's delete. Okay. Then for the routes, they all start the same way. Retrieve all courses, we don't need to add anything. Retrieve a course by ID, we will add the ID. Update, we have to specify the ID of the object we want to update. Same thing, and then also we need to add the object in the body. Object, or actually the new values of the object in the body. Then for delete, same thing, we just need to specify the ID. Okay, for post, for success, it's 201 created. Okay, we can have for failures, we can have either bad request 400 bad request, we can have 500 internal server error. Okay, I will copy these, and they will not be exactly the same, but slightly very close. For the get, we don't have a bad request here, just have 500. Success 200. Okay. Retrieve a course by ID 200. Okay, if we find it. But if we fail, the ID 404 not found. 404 not found if the ID is not there, or 500 internal server error. For update, it's 204. Same thing for delete. Okay, sorry, here it's 204. No content. That's the message. So 204 no content. We may have bad request. We may also have 404 not found if the ID does not belong to anything. 404 400 bad request if the data in the body does not match the schema in the database or our model. Then delete 204 no content. 404 not found, and internal server error. We don't have bad request because we are just sending the ID. Okay, so this is it. Let's start by doing the second one, the second easiest one, which is retrieve a course by ID. Okay, so retrieve a course by ID 200, 404, and 500. Okay, so what is my... So this is the first mapping. Now public. So we are getting a course by ID. Response entity, we are getting only one course, entity. So here in the body we only have one course. Okay, so that's the type that you have to have here. Get course by ID. Okay, we need a get mapping, but in the mapping here we need to have the ID. Okay, get mapping ID. Okay, it's I forgot this, and here we have to say that this ID here, we want Spring to read it and give it to us, give it to this method. Okay, so here we have to add request param. I think it's a request param. I need to check the name of the annotation. It's path variable. It's path variable. And the type is long, and the name is ID. This name here has to match exactly this name here. But you can name it whatever you want. Huh? You can name it course ID or whatever. Okay, so now again I will copy the try catch that you have here. Okay, and then I will just remove this. So we have our 500 error. Now we will search for the object. So if you don't remember how to read, how to find the object, you use the repository. So here you have find by ID. Okay, and you can see that this returns and optional, of course, okay, we have to give it the ID. So now what is returned is an optional, of course, it's a wrapper. It's a wrapper of the result of the object. It's a wrapper that tells us also if the object was found or not. Okay, so first of all, um, okay, so there is the case where the ID is null. Okay, but we'll check it later. So now if course dot is present means that we found the course. Okay, so we return the object that was found, which is response entity n dot OK of what? Of, we have to get the object out of that wrapper. Course dot get, that's the object is not actually, it's not this object, it's hidden or it's wrapped inside this optional object. Okay, so if course is present, we return that, else we return not found. So response entity dot not found. With dot found, not found, you have to add dot build. Okay, so this should work, but we have to test what happens if the ID is null. Is it handled by Spring or not? But let's check. Let's test. It's a get, huh? It's a get request. The ID cannot be null. The ID cannot be null. The ID can be a string, for example, but should not be should not cause any problem. So here, if we send this request, we get all the objects. If we add, for example, /w, we should get bad request. Okay, we got a bad request because it could not be parsed to a long, and it is handled by Spring, so we don't have to worry about it. The user, the client of our API, will get a good feedback, which is 400 bad request, which is exactly what needs to be sent. If I send 40 or 5, for example, I should find 404 not found. If the client requests object number 2, 200 okay, and normally we should get, this is the object here. It could not be shown here. Okay, so now it's working. So this is working. This is working. The next one that is simple is the delete. Okay, so let's do it right away. Public response entity. Of course, if it's a hard delete, it's easy. With delete, we don't have to return anything in the body of the response. So here we have to add void here. So delete course, and it's very similar to this. We need to get the ID from the URI. The difference is that this is a delete mapping, not a get mapping. We have to import it, and then for the try catch, for the body of the method, it's easier. Let's see how to delete by ID. So deletes the entity with the given ID. If the entity is not found in the it is silently ignored. Okay, so this is not what we want. We don't want to silently ignore the request if the object is not found. Okay, we want to tell the user, okay, that okay, so let's do it in the if here. Okay, so I will check if the object is in database dot exists by id. If the object exists, okay, I will delete it. Course repository dot delete by id, and then return dot no content dot build. Okay, so this is if the object exists. Else, if the object does not exist, we return not found, and that's all we need with the delete. We can test it. Normally it will be okay. Okay, so now I will get all the courses. I will just clear the response here. Get all courses. What happened? Okay, so we have two courses. We can delete one of these two courses. So I'll create a new request. Don't forget to specify the method here. Delete object with id 2. We got 204 no content, which means that the object normally has been deleted, so we can test it here. We should only find one object now. So as you can see, we only have one object. If we try to delete the same object again, we should get 404 not found. Okay, so now the delete is working. Okay, so this is it with the first part of the video. I will create a second video, inshallah, to add the remaining two methods, which are the update and the create. Thank you.